Welcome to the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. And if you've never visited here before, there's some common issues you need to be aware of. So with the help of a local tour guide, we're gonna be sharing 10 common tourist mistakes to avoid on your next trip to Puerto Rico. You don't wanna miss this. Some quick facts. Because it's a territory, your cell phone is gonna work here. They use US dollars and you do not need a passport if you're flying from within the United States. So it's basically like a domestic flight.
Hey guys, nice to see you. Let me get up and talk to you.
Not knowing any Spanish. Look, you don't have to be fluent in Espanol to travel to Puerto Rico, but I think just knowing a couple of words, it would make your trip a lot better, no?
Oh yeah, way better. I mean, just knowing the basic as a buenos dias, good morning, buenas tardes, buenas noches, just to be courteous with the locals. Us locals know a lot of English too. It's being taught in the school system. It helps you a lot even to know your basics if you ever get lost or in a tight spot.
And I've noticed even speaking English, sometimes they'll respond to you in Spanish, but they will try their hardest to help you out. So I wouldn't be too worried about being fluent, but just a couple of words could go far. Not leaving the old San Juan bubble. Now this is in reference to a trip just to San Juan, and a lot of people, they take a cruise ship and they just stay in that little area, and that would be a mistake, right?
If you have a little bit of more time, you can get an Uber. You can go to Santurce, which is one of the places where you have a really big culinary differences that you can go, and it's gonna be cheaper from San Juan. You can also jump to Ocean Park Beach, which is outside of Santurce, and you can try and go around the city, not only staying in Old San Juan, but seeing the different spots in the areas and the outskirts of the city.
And if you need some tips, we did a great video about the top 10 things to do in San Juan. Check it out in the description. Not renting a car, and if you are planning on leaving San Juan, you basically have to have a car.
Yes, you can do Uber around the city. So renting a car is gonna get you the best and most amazing experience because public transportation here is not that very good, and even the taxis and Ubers, the few Ubers you can get out of the city, is gonna be very, very expensive at the end of the day.
If you don't rent a car and you just want to get a taxi to like the north or west side of the island, it could cost you hundreds of dollars, where a car, I don't know, $50 to $100 for a day.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna rent a car, be sure to prepay in advance because here in the island, you know, we're a little bit smaller, so companies have a little bit less cars than in the mainland. Prepay in advance, it's gonna get you higher on the priority list in case they overbook, and try to use direct sites of the rental companies. If you use third-party websites, they might even charge you some taxes that the locals won't.
Driving mistakes. We have a lot of things to discuss on this.
This is a big one.
I'm gonna start with my own experience when I rented a car for the first time in Puerto Rico, just driving on the highways. Some people drive really fast, some people drive really slow. You have to be ready for anything, right?
Yes, exactly. Once you get on the plane, you have to leave that mainline driving mindset in the gates, because when you get here, you gotta be part of this organized chaos. People switch lanes without using turn signals. Just drive like a Puerto Rican, like boop, reset.
Now going to a gas station here compared to the mainland US is a different story because they use liters and you don't pay at the pump.
Yeah, exactly. So if you see the price and you're gonna see it's gonna be like, right now it's almost $1. Don't be excited, it's not gallons, it's liters. So yeah, once you basically equalize that, it's almost as expensive as the mainland right now. And you have to pay most of the times inside of the gas station.
We want to fill up number 2 regular.
I would say 99.9% of our pumps do not have in-station credit card system. Some roads might be closed up, some roads might be turned into one lane, so keep an eye on that. If you're gonna enter or merge something, be on the lookout. Like I mentioned earlier, Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Waze work super fine here on the island, so those are gonna be your trusty allies.
And worst case, if you get lost, the locals are so friendly, just ask them.
Yeah, I mean, Puerto Rico is 100 miles by 35, so you're not gonna get that far, buddy.
Can't get that lost,
yes,
you're right.
Exactly.
Road signs are all in Spanish, but the symbols look exactly the same as they are on the mainland, so just something to be aware of. I feel like too many tourists just stay in the San Juan, El Yunque rainforest bubble. And here we are in Aguadilla, just a prime example of getting outside of that area and exploring this beautiful island.
Honestly, for me, San Juan has a lot of cultural and historic significance, but the outside of the island is actually where the most natural beauty and the best food is. Plus, it's way cheaper than being in the city, which we know it's gonna be really, really more expensive since it's very touristy.
And if you need some ideas of getting off the beaten path, check out the last video we shot. And better yet, take a tour with this guy and his company, because it's what you specialize in.
Yes, exactly. So if you want to have a little bit more in-depth experiences and know a little bit more of our culture, I also have my YouTube and I do tours.
insider tip. Start your trip in San Juan. If you want to stay longer, rent a car and then drop it off in Agua Diaz Airport on the west side of Puerto Rico and do some adventures here. And that way you can see two distinctly different sides of Puerto Rico. Very good idea. All right, so as you can hear, bringing earplugs for your trip to Puerto Rico, I would say, is a very important thing because you might run into this, you might run into loud music. There's so many things you could run into trying to sleep, right?
Yes, exactly. You have loud cars, loud music. Us Puerto Ricans and many other Latinos, we like to party almost every day of the week. Plus you have animals in the really early morning like roosters, birds, and in the night you have the coqui, very loud crickets. And if you're near a touristy area like San Juan, or something like that, you might have the airport near too.
If you're curious where we're filming, this is called Pintalto. This is a little residential area of Agua Diaz with some beautiful murals, which are amazing to take photos of. Not budgeting for your trip. There's a misconception that Puerto Rico is a cheap destination. It's not always entirely true.
Yes, you could do cheap travels if you go outside of San Juan and stay a little bit of it in different areas. It's gonna be cheap. But if you stay in the city, if you go out drinking every night, you go to fancy restaurants, it's gonna get expensive really fast.
Also, I would say shopping for regular goods, even at Walgreens, but for clothing, 11% sales tax. So it's actually cheaper to shop at the mainland than it is to shop in Puerto Rico. No surprise, the weather is hot and humid here year round, and you've had some clients who underestimated the heat and the sun, right?
The heat here is no joke, so if you're gonna come here, you gotta have fresh clothes, but still you have to protect your skin because the sun here, it doesn't joke. Even us as locals, we're not standing in the sun out. We know sometimes we even layer up because sun really hits you out here.
Yeah, definitely, but bring your SPF. You do not want to get a bad sunburn on your trip here. It's gonna ruin it. Thinking that Puerto Rico is not a safe destination to travel to.
Don't go alone at night in some shady areas or really, really dark places of town, just like you would in any other city, and you're gonna be fine. Locals here love to help out and are welcome you with open arms. Sometimes you might encounter, if you're going to a little bit of a desolated beach or something like that, that there are some locals there that are asking maybe for a few dollars to watch over your car. I always say it's better to give them the few dollars. I've had some instances of friends and even tourists that they brush them off or even talk to them in a little bit of a derogatory way, and they get their things stolen or broken into. So why get yourself a headache for over like $2 or $3? Just give it to them. You're helping the locals out.
This may be the biggest mistake you can make coming here, not adjusting to island time, especially for my New Yorkers watching, expecting everything to be as efficient as fast as it is from back home.
As Puerto Ricans, we're always a little bit late, you know, we chillax with that a little bit more. We've had some instances that the restaurants and bars say they're gonna open at 3, they literally get there at 3, so until they open, they prep or whatever, it gets even later than that, or it's gonna say it's open and it's not.
Yeah.
Try not to worry too much about it or blast everyone on social media. You know, us Puerto Ricans, we function at that way. It might not be the most efficient way, but hey, you're in Puerto Rico and you gotta chillax, man.
And you know, don't get upset if your food takes a little bit longer than you expect. I say just embrace it. You didn't come to Puerto Rico for everything to be exactly the same as your back home. You came here to relax.
Exactly.
You came here to slow down. So it actually helps you slow down. Check out our Puerto Rico playlist linked down below for some ideas of things to do when you visit here. And of course, check out Christian's YouTube channel and his tours if you're interested in a more personalized experience. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching as always. Till next time.